So I am moving on with my Hitchcock 4K adventure. Next one on the list is the fantastic Psycho, a movie that I've long loved, a movie that is synonymous with pop culture as well. Great references within it, and a movie that is really about self-control, impulse control, and not just acting on a whim realistically. It's a movie of two halves as well, which I really like. Shouldn't really work, but somehow this works tremendously well, and I think it's down to the performances of both Janet Leigh and Anthony Perkins and a host of the other cast, and because it tells a compelling story of almost compulsion. We have Janet Leigh's Marion Crane character, who at the start is given into her whims again, unable to control her impulses, and slept with a man that she is regularly seeing, but not in a social sense, just in a sex sense. And she's kind of coming to her senses, realising that this isn't quite the relationship that is fulfilling as it once was for her, and she's wanting more. As she's at work, she's genuinely okay in her life, but it's not the life she really aspired to, or you get that feeling. And this rich guy comes in and drops a wad of money on the desk, of which she has to take to the bank. It's a Friday afternoon. She's to take it there, put it in the safety deposit box, and they will deal with it in the Monday morning. But she decides that everything has created a perfect storm. Her sister's away, so there's nobody in the house. It's the weekend. She's a large amount of money. She's a chance to maybe go and start a new relationship with that friend of hers at the start, and she takes the money and flees. And what we have is a good 40 minutes of just watching her almost implode. The realisation of giving in to those impulses and the weight that it causes onto her. She's constantly feeling as if she's been watched, as if everyone is suspicious. She is terrified of walking about with this amount of cash, and there's some wonderful set pieces as she slowly starts to psychologically crumble under the pressure that she's putting upon herself. But she never tries to stop. She's constantly moving forward and constantly trying to erase her tracks and get away with her ill-gotten gains, until she arrives at the Bates motel, where we have a kind of transition scene where we move from the Marion Crane character into the Norman Bates character, as we have the brilliant, absolutely brilliant performance from Anthony Perkins, who is terrific in the role as Norman. And we have these two characters conversing for a little while, and it's this conversation where you're really introduced to Norman, but you see Marion starting to work things through in her head as well, and you have this simple conversation that alludes to both the future of Norman and the future of Marion as she perceives it, because she realises that she's made a huge mistake. She's so close to her goal, and being that close has given her a sense of clarity to the situation, and you see that kind of working through. Norman, you see a very introverted character, someone who has been kind of browbeaten a little bit by the matriarchal figure, his family, his mother, who has been his life, his everything, and his fondness for creating things out of dead animals, his taxidermy, his birds, the way he likes to watch and study things, and you get that through his character, who's very still and minimalised within his movement, which is part of the wonderful performance. And then you get the shower sequence, and that's when this movie just explodes into something that you're unexpected. You've had a main character for 45 minutes of this movie, 50 minutes maybe, even half the movie, and then all of a sudden, in a furious scene of wonderful editing, a scene so terrific that they made a documentary on that scene, we get this ferocious sequence of murder, where we move from one character to another. And this is where the movie kind of takes a turn. We're kind of stuck with Norman, who's cleaning up his mother's mess. Marion has, on the whim of recompense, of making amends, or of going back and owning up to what she's done, which was a real turning point, which she just never got to continue, which leaves a sour note for all her family members of what she has actually done. We get the inclusion of another character, Arbogast, who is a wonderful character. Really not in the movie much, but when he's there, he is a shining light and amongst terrific performances already. I love the sequence when he comes and just starts talking to Norman and getting information from him and just catching him in small lies or inconsistencies throughout the story. And you see it in his performance where he feels like a terrific interviewer, where he doesn't give much but just allows the person he's talking to unravel more and more information, just giving a little verbal nudge whenever he needs it, and it's a wonderful addition. And from then on we get to someone else trying to deal with their impulse, what they've had to their impulse to do something has caused a whole wave of effects that could bring their life down round about them. And that's another aspect of the movie, watching someone else going through the torturous pressure of thinking that people are suspecting them, that are going to catch them. And it's just terrifically well set up. And now, as a proper horror movie, it has that great idea of actual genuine terror, even from the Janet Leigh character. As you watch her slowly realise that her life will never be the same. She has completely and irrevocably changed it with her actions, and we have the same with Norman later on in the movie. And these two halves of the movie really mirror each other terrifically well, to endings that are, well, in Janet Leigh's character, a bit of a shock, but in Norman's character, an inevitability. You know, sometimes you can make choices which you can bring yourself back from. Sometimes you make choices that put you over the precipice and you're never going to recover from. I love it when you have these movies that on the surface are about one thing, but deep below it have a rich thematic that you can really delve into. And on repeat viewings of this, yes, you get the wonderful performances, you get the terrific story, the atmosphere that builds up, the horror and dread that really seeps into the movie in the second half. But there's more in this film as well. It's not just on the surface horror or terror or suspense, but there's more to it. And I think that's what really elevates Hitchcock's movies, because he has something to say within them rather than just making the audience squirm, which is also a goal of his. I think Psycho is a terrific movie. I've always loved it. It's always one that's been fantastic in my mind, and it looked beautiful in this transfer as well. And I'm really glad to have revisited it. And I'm going to move on to the last movie in that Hitchcock set, Vertigo, which is the one I've probably seen the least out of these four movies, and I'm really looking forward to revisit that. So thanks for watching. Let me know your comments on Psycho in the comment box below, and I will see you next time on Man v Film.